What's going on, guys? Freak here from the channel Frost and Fist. I'm going to welcome you to this video. This video is a special video for our Patreon. I just turned the camera on here, guys, just to kind of share what I'm doing. Giving you a little front row seat of the way I do my bases. I just finished my Harald Deathwolf. I'm collecting Space Wolves. Most of you already are aware of that. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. There he is. You better, no, that's the worst close-up view. You can see that there. Anyway, I'll show it to you guys in the pics later. But I need to get some good basing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a kind of a the type of basing I'm going to do is more of a snowy woods kind of, I don't know, it's, you know, like a snowy forest kind of thing. And I think it's going to turn out pretty cool. So far, I've already got the cork laid out. I've got the sand laid out. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead and airbrush it like a dark brown. Got to give it a earthy look, and then I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Then I'm going to dry brush everything else, and then I'll lay down these pieces of wood, which is really cool. Going to give it a little scenery, little scenic background kind of thing. I think that would look amazing. And then I'll throw on the snow and show you how I do that. So let's go ahead and do the airbrush. I need to get all this coated. The thing is that cork is a very, very thirsty material. And in comes my puppies. Little puppy. Let's see. Always something here. Alright, let's get some thinner. So I always use airbrush thinner, by the way. If you don't use this, you can also use airbrush cleaner. It's the exact same thing, guys. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use that with Smoky Ink by Game Color. And I'm actually kind of running low on that. So let's... It's always good to stock up on paints that you need in case you ever run out. Alright. So yeah, guys, this is again for all of our Patreon subscribers. And I want to thank you for your support. This is what you are supporting. Also, you're also helping out in, you know, helping us get better equipment. You know, things that actually make the channel a little better. Again, guys, I apologize. I'm a little under the weather. I actually had to call out of work today. I've been having some really bad symptoms. They're like flu-like, but they're not the flu. It's some kind of viral infection, so I had to stay home today. I'm feeling a little better. That's why I'm actually recording. We've got some more Patreon patrons on our Patreon page. So anyway, so bear with me, guys. Again, this is the first time I'm actually doing a impromptu video recording here. So I put a little bit of the thinner. You guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to drop a couple of drops of the Smoky Ink. Do what Kenny Boucher calls the gangster gumbo. I'll do a little test spray, make sure we're good. And I'm doing this backwards. We really need to, yeah, I need to prime that, because that is going to be no good. Clean out my brush. Okay, let's try this again. You need to get a little primer on this thing. I use Surface Gray stuff here. This stuff is amazing as well. I'm running low, so I'm going to have to get me another bottle pretty soon. And I try to cut it back a little bit because this stuff is pretty thick when it comes in. So now what I like to do sometimes, though, because I'm trying to get to the to as close to the color as possible, I'll drop a couple of drops of this particular color in the primer, just to kind of get it looking that dark color. So then when I can go back and touch it up with a darker color, it won't be as much trouble. So, and unfortunately, when you do the backflow technique with primer, this one, it kind of bubbles up pretty much. So just kind of, there we go. All right, so this is all primer here. Let me silence my phone because I don't feel like. There we go. Okay, so let me see if you can see that. Yeah. So the whole thing is to cover all this fairly evenly, especially around the cork. The cork is, this stuff is just, it just absorbs. So we're trying to seal it with the primer as well, so that's why it's important. Nice even coat around it. This eventually will get to our friends on YouTube, but you guys get the exclusive. Of course, you got first dibs here. Won't be probably for another week or so before this actually gets out to YouTube. So you guys that are seeing this on our Patreon page, you guys are the first ones to actually get to see it. So I am using my Iwata. This is my Revolution. Love this. Been a fan of Iwata for a long time. Those of you seen my other videos, I've shared how much I've enjoyed the Iwata. I started out on a Masters, which is based off of the Iwata, and it's just a great product. Excellent tool for airbrushing. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure I cover the edges here, because if not, I'll have cork exposed, and I don't want to do that. Okay. And I'm just kind of going around here making sure that this primer gets in every nook and cranny to seal this bad boy, because like I said, this stuff is going to be rough if I don't seal it properly. It's just going to soak it up. Any paint that I throw in there, it'll just kind of, just not going to look right. Okay. As you can see that. So far, so good. Okay. So now I still have some paint in my pot here, so I'm just gonna go back on it just to make sure I get a nice saturation here. I think that's good there. That'll work. Alright, I barely have anything left, so I'm going to dump what little I have. And I'll let that dry. And we'll come back here in just a minute, and we'll start with laying down the darker tones for the earthy look, for the earth shade, right? We want to make it more like dirt. So we're going to lay that as a base foundation, okay? See you guys in just a second. Alright guys, back. So now we're going to go ahead and start dropping the earth shade. Again, I'm using Game Color, the Smoky Ink. That stuff right there. Smoky Ink. Let me move Harold out of the way. You see it goes on a lot darker. Is what I want. I want that nice rich earth darkness. That way when I go with the snow effect, it's gonna look really cool. What I'm doing right now is I'm painting the edge of the base, the actual plastic base, because I want the base to be nice and uniform, right? I want the edge to be, so that's what I'm doing. I'm working on the edge right now here, so you can see. It's gonna be nice and rich, and dark, more like a tobacco look, if you will. Such a great color. I love working with this color. There we go. I hope my compressor's not too loud. I think that's every YouTuber's nightmare. Is the compressor's louder than, you know, and everything else. I'm watching my microphone pegging out, so hopefully it's not too much. Okay. There we go. Also, this is going to be great for the shading because it's gonna give a nice shadow effect, right? Now, here's the thing, we're going to have to go back and dry brush some of this to kind of give it a little, almost like a ice crystal formation stuff. Remember, this is more like frozen tundra. We're not Arctic here, but this is more like, you know, frozen wilderness, if you will. So far, that's what you get. Make it a little darker because we're going to have to. Oh yeah, that looks really good. So this is turning out nice. All right. Cool. All right, so that's kind of what we wanted. Then we'll go back and we're going to go ahead and do a little dry brushing, and we'll get that to lighten up a little bit. We're going to use a like a grayish white, if anything. I'll have to see what I have. I want to give it more of a frost look. Clean up my brush here. One of the things it's always important to do if you're doing your airbrush for the first time. Make sure you always clean out your pot. It's always good to get something to kind of clean the airbrush out. Because last thing you need is your airbrush to get all gunked up full of paint. You can see what I'm doing there, cleaning it out. Dump it out, and then I'll just take a tissue and wipe it clean. And I'll make sure, inspect the bowl, make sure there's no remnants, because I don't want that stuff in there. There we go. Okay, so that's nice and clean. Better turn off my compressor now. And I'm going to get prepared for the dry brushing. Now I'm going to do all of this before I throw on the pieces of wood, you know, these guys here, because I want to be able to get it set. I want to do the dry brushing first and get it nice, you know, nice and scenic before I throw it on there. Then I'll go ahead and come back with the snow effect. So I'll show you how I do that here in just a minute. Okay, so I gotta let this dry, so I'll be back here in just a second. Okay, guys, I'm back. So let's get started, shall we? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple of drops of this. It's dead white, and I dropped it by Game Air. Let me close my door. Granddaughter's crying a lot. She's not probably, I hope she's not sick like I am. That would suck. Alright, so I'm going to put a couple of drops here. And I'm going to do something you guys don't realize that I do. So I use all kinds of different colors. I'm not stuck on one type of paint. I do mixing a lot, but I'm also a baller on a budget. So I'm the kind of person that if I see a good deal, I'm going to go for it, and I'll try to make it work. So what I've been working with lately are these. They're acrylics by Master's Touch. I never heard of that. Master's Touch. They're from Hobby Lobby, our local hobby store. And these are great. They're very, very thick, but they're mainly for canvas, whatever. But they're acrylics, and they're great. So you thin them down really well, and they work great. They have a semi-gloss finish to it, so they turn out pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix a little bit of this is called Ocean Green. Kind of give it that little better there. Kind of give it a little blue or little tint. So now, because that stuff is super thick, I need to, I think I might have used too much white. But I'm going to douse it pretty well with the thinner. And we're going to try to mix this up a little bit here. Kind of looks somewhat aqua. May have to, I don't know, I probably might have broken it down a little too much. A little too liquidy. Let's see, I don't know, we'll see. That might work. Let's just try it, see. So go ahead and dab this. You guys, you know about dry brushing, you just make sure you don't have anything left on there. And so I'm just kind of lightly brushing this, and I'm not going to worry too much. I am getting a little bit on the edges, but I'll touch that up later. So, and I'm just going to have to definitely get a little more white on there, because I need this to be relaxing. So yeah, so I basically thinned it way too much. Big mistake. So alright, we'll try one more time. See, the thing is, I don't want this thing saturated. All right, that's a little better. Just kind of give it more of the tone I'm looking for. This also helps define the edges of this rocky terrain, or well, I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's kind of rocky, yeah. Almost like he's on a cliff somewhere. But it's cool because, you know, if done right, it's going to look like he's in the mountains, you know. All right, clean this. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I am way under the weather. Saturday, I started feeling kind of really cruddy. Started feeling like I had flu symptoms. You know, the achiness, feverish, you know, chills, hot, cold kind of thing. Then I started getting the blowouts. You know, diarrhea and all that crap. That you really hear that. And of course, you know, no appetite. That's unusual for me because I have a pretty darn good appetite. For me to turn down food, you know, I'm sick. So yeah. All right. So what I may do is I may go back and do a little lighter. I'm just going to do pure white. So I'm going to grab one of my Astro Touches here, called Titanium White, and it doesn't matter what paints you use. I haven't even opened this one. Just whatever you feel you're comfortable in using, and the thing is knowing how to use the paint, knowing what to do with it, if it's too thick or too thin, right? It's all about the technique. It's all about how you're using it. So, all right, same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and dab it a little bit and clean it off a little bit. Make sure there's not a whole lot left. And we'll see how it turns out. Yeah, let me just thin it out a hair because it's just too thick. Okay, so put about 2 drops of that. Ooh, yeah, too much. All right, too much. Just kind of clean this off. All right. So again, I'm just going to kind of just brush some areas. So you have a little bit of change here and there. Change is good. I'm kind of lightly dusting the tops here. And And what it's doing is actually creating better highlight. It's like edge highlighting on the stone, right? Which is what the cork is representing. And it gives kind of a nice little frozen tundra or frozen wilderness look. You know, like ice is forming. There you go. That looks good. All right. So now comes the fun part. We're gonna go ahead and give this a minute to dry. I'm gonna clean my brushes, clean all this out, and then we'll go ahead and mix in the snow, and I'll show you how I do that. A little trick that I learned, and I will be right back. See ya. All right, guys, I'm back. So here's what I'm gonna do. You guys are seeing this. I'm just gonna take regular baking soda and some PVA glue, and I'm gonna mix it up. Now, I've seen this done, and one of the biggest concerns that some people raise is that baking soda will turn colors. That being the case, we don't want that to happen. So when you mix it with the PVA glue, it keeps it from oxidizing. So that's the whole purpose of that, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pour in some of this PVA. I'm probably going to use a better container, but it is what it is. Okay, and then my fan is on full blast. It's probably what you're hearing, so this is going to be a little tricky. I don't have anything to kind of, I should have gotten a spoon. Oh well, YOLO, right? Let's see, yeah, there we go. Kind of got half and half. Okay, so I am going to I'll use this one, and we're just gonna mix it up really good here. And you can see it's kind of starting to fluff up, kind of giving it already a kind of a frozen look, if you will. Now once it's put into spots, basically I'm going to dab it. So by the way, before I do this, I have to start applying the I have to apply the wood, right? So that should be good for now. Let's just leave that. All right, so let's go ahead and take pieces of wood. We're going to first find out, make sure where would be a good spot to mount our buddy Ice Tooth. So let's say that would be a good spot there. We want kind of the wood almost let's see, maybe kind of there and there. We'll probably super glue these. Let's see, making sure this is going to be okay. Yeah, we want them a little further out. We want these. Oh yeah, like that. So we want to kind of. All right, so kind of have an idea how I want it. All right, so let's get the super glue. And put that bad boy on there. And then this guy here, we're just going to put him right here. There. And this little guy, I don't want to get my, dig it? Maybe I should take this off. And there, try to make it, there we go. that looks like it's just kind of falling down. All right, so that's gonna stay in place. Cool. You can see that? See what it looks like at an angle. See? Looks cool. All right, so now the fun part. So, I hope this freaking works because I saw this on the YouTube. Anyway, so no, I don't have flocking, so I'm kind of doing it myself. So, go ahead and just kind of dab it. Go. A little bit on this one. Now the stuff is kind of granular, so it's gonna take a little more effort to kind of apply it. All right. You can see that. So now I'm going to put some blotches, patches on the ground here. Make sure it doesn't cover the area where I'm going to mount the model, because we're going to make it like that. So we'll just okay. Mix it up really good here, because we're going to have to make sure this is going to work out. There we go. All right. So, you see, we're not done yet. We're going to put some foliage, make it look good. Got some dry grass at the toe on there, which I think would make it look pretty freaking awesome. So, clean these brushes out. Close this up. All right. All right, so let's get the stuff. So I've got this actual flock. It's winter dead static grass. It's just perfect for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of tufts and dab it on there. Give me a minute. I'll be right back because I need to find my tweezers. I'll come back and we're going to do this. If you can see this. Let me move this out of the way. Bring this here. So as you can see, this is already drying nicely. It's kind of giving a frosted look. It's not glossy, so I'm going to have to put down some TVA where I want this grass. So I kind of want it around the edges. So I'll go over here. Let's see, where do I want it? Let's put it right here. And put some here. See, wherever I'm putting the dots, that's where the grass is going to go. Alright, this should be enough. Alright, let's go ahead and start putting in some of this amazing flock. Why is it amazing? I don't know. I just think it's amazing. So I'm just taking these tweezers, just kind of barely touching it, just dropping it on top of the area where I put the glue on. It's really important not to stab it. You just kind of want to place it because eventually when you clear it, in other words, you dump all the excess, it does, if you do it right, it should kind of stand up nice and straight for you. It's going to look good. I'm not missing anything anywhere else, so that looks good. So for now, I'm trying to think if I need more grass anywhere else. Let me turn my fan off because this stuff's going to blow everywhere. Okay. Trying to debate whether I want more grass. Cool thing about something like this, you can be creative, you can do whatever you want. I'm not an expert on basing, guys. I just like to do whatever I can to make it look pretty cool. And this is my model, so I want to make it pretty neat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. Kind of slightly tap it. And now you can see grass. That looks okay. Not sure if I'm 100% on it. Probably add a little. All right, again. All right, I think it's good enough. A little more than I can do. I've got some. Yeah, it's matches the same color, so this will work just perfectly. This is kind of has a sticky background backing to it, but it's it's not going to stay. So I'm going to put a little bit of super glue on it, and goes right next to one of the. Perfect. That'll work. Again, just to kind of give it a little more depth. You can see it. Now this is looking like very pretty, very scenic. You know that? So it looks really good. All right. So it's the fun part now. I have to make sure to properly mount. By the way, guys, these are really cool. Probably can find them in any tabletop hobby store. So these have different sizes. I don't know if you can see that. Some are large, some are small, but this is really handy. They have a sticky backing to it. These are great. All right. So we can go ahead and turn our fan back on. So I need to clean out this stuff because I don't want it to, like here, I don't need any snow in my palette. There. Windex is great. Nice clean off your palette. Windex is amazing because it tears down acrylic very, very well. So, yeah. A clean palette is a happy palette. I don't know. I blame this sickness. I am feeling better though. Nothing like do a little video recording to kind of clear your head a little bit. Okay, so now I need to position this bad boy back here like this. Okay. Now the kicker now is that this guy cannot be glued on. He is going to have to be pinned. In order to properly pin him, we have to drill holes very carefully into the bottom of his feet, of the mount's feet, paws, and then drive pins through it, which I use paper clips. You can use whatever you feel comfortable with, but since the paper clips I have are the perfect size for that, is perfect. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find a paper clip, and that is not the paper clip I'm looking for. This is perfect for this. Good. Okay, so let me reach for that. Bear with me. Gotta reach behind you guys. Yeah, I'm bougie. I have the Citadel pin drill. Get this out of the way. And I use the smallest drill, or smallest bit that it comes with. I'm not sure what the size is. I couldn't tell you. All I know is it's the tiniest one that comes with this particular set. Okay. And I get this bad boy on there. Gotta make sure I stay in the shot here. Okay, so now very carefully, and I need to make sure that it's deep enough where the pin will seat in nicely, but not so deep that it's going to go straight through. You know what I mean? Oh, should be right around there. So make sure that I've got it shot. Alright, so I'm kind of carefully drill this bad boy in, and you see it's already cutting through. I need to make sure I back out, gauge the depth, and keep going. in, back out, gauge the depth. See how deep. Let me go a little deeper here. Back out. How deep this is. Maybe just a hair, and I should be good there. Yeah, I should be good there. Okay. So I can just take the pin here and just kind of work it in. And that's perfect fit. Okay. All right. So I also am going to have to make sure I don't go too well. Doesn't matter. I can always cut it. All right. So we'll go ahead and we need to glue it. So we'll go ahead and just go ahead and set that up. There you go. Put a little super glue on that bad boy. And we'll ram it into his paw. Sure. Ice Tooth is going to be happy about it. All right, buddy. You got this, Ice Tooth. You're brutal. There we go. All right. Look at that. Ta-da! All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my snippers, spikes, wire cutters. Camera's in the way. This bad boy and kind of gauge how it's good for now. Actually, I shouldn't use it. In a way. You are seeing my nose. All right, this is better. Always good to have the right tools, man. Right there. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to only use one pin. I was just thinking about this because the back paw is very, very shallow. I would run the risk of probably drilling through the foot or the paw too much. So I'm just going to super glue it. As long as I have one pin embedded deep into this, this should be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But so if that's the case, then we'll have to super glue the other end. So what we need to do is we need to check and make sure we got the right area where we're going to pin it. So I need to make sure it goes in the right spot because we're going to have to drill into the base and make sure this is going to work. Around here. Like this, like that. So I'm going to get my marker. Okay. So we're gonna, hopefully that's gonna work. Okay. So here is where we're gonna start. You guys can see me. Again, guys, I apologize for the any camera angles that aren't that great. I am doing my best with what I've got here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ream this pretty well, because sometimes if you don't do it, that's gonna you have a hard time getting that pin through. There's a piece of sticky tack. Okay, so now we can go ahead and find the hole. First of all, let's go ahead and dab of super glue on this other rear foot here. Be generous with it because we're going to make sure that doesn't move or float any roots. Alright, there we go. And here we go. Find that bad boy. Come on. There it goes. It's already gone through. And I'm going to make sure that the back foot seats as well because we've got to make sure it seats. Now, it's okay if it's too long, the pin gets too long. As you can see, sticking out a ways past the base, that's alright. We'll go ahead and we'll cut it, and we'll grind it if we need to. By the way, if you don't have a grinder or a Dremel tool, that's something you may want to invest in. If you don't have a whole lot of cash, you can do what I do. Invest in one of these little things. They're for the nails, for the toenails and whatever. Little thing right here. You can get it for a couple bucks on Amazon. Super Nail Professional. Look at that. And it's a little grinder. You know, and it comes with a bunch of different bits. Awesome. Great for that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see if we can go ahead and cut the excess. And hopefully it'll let me. There it is. I have to close my eyes because I didn't want that sucker. And it's a nice clean, can you see that? Very clean cut. So all I'm going to do is put another dab of super glue there. And then I've got some accelerant. By the way, if you don't know what the accelerant is, for super glue, just mix water and baking soda. And that will actually speed up the hardening process. Pretty cool. And that's it. There you go. I think that turned out to be pretty freaking awesome. So what I'm going to do now, because I want to be a schlub, I want to showcase this, and I'm going to put in a showcase on YouTube. But I have to touch up the edges. You can see I've got paint on there, so I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm here, you guys are watching, that's proof. But first of all, I'm going to clean up my tools, clean up my mess here, because I got to get my work area looking nice, at least. Sorry guys, I'm getting the camera here. Get all this crap out of the way. Don't need this. All right. So, put that away. Oh, pretty excited how it turned out. Really, I'm super stoked. Okay, so now I'm going to go back with the smoky ink. That's what we used originally. And I'm going to put a couple drops on here. This is the one that just about ran out. I'll get a decent brush here. Let's get this one. So I'm getting a nice size brush, and I'm going to skip ahead and just cover it all up. I want this like a nice brown. And guys, I want to thank you for joining me on this. I hope you learned something. I don't know. I mean, I do these things, and Ethos always tells me, man, you need to do a tutorial. You need to put that on a video. And I'm like, who wants to see me? Who wants to watch me do this crap? You know, I'm thinking, man, I really don't think anybody would get anything out of it. If you do, great. That's why I'm doing it. You know, if at least one person gets something out of this, man, I'm super happy to do this, and I'll keep on doing it if you like. This is just something, and again, I am not an expert. I cannot stress that enough. I am not an expert at all. I just like to do this because I enjoy the hobby. This right now is the extent of my imagination for now, you know, and eventually I'll get better, and there'll be new tips and tricks that I'll learn, and I'll be able to share with you guys, and you know, I guess that's good, you know. So there we go. So now I have an even color, even coat. So yeah, I don't want to touch the edge there, but there he is, guys. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy. Anyway, guys, Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was a pretty fun little project. I hope the tutorial does help. If it does help, then, you know, as always, you know, smash that like button. Wow, let me try it again. Smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Ethos does it better. Anyway, guys, you guys on Patreon, you know the drill. Thank you again so much for your donation. Thank you so much for your support. You guys are helping do this, and you get first dibs, by the way. That's right. You guys are the first ones to actually see this. It'll be a couple weeks before this even makes it out public onto YouTube, guys. And again, as always, stay frosty. Cheers. Take care.